everybody. My name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like, and today I have for you my November reading wrap up. I was able to get through quite a lot of books this month, way more than I was expecting. Granted, a couple of them were short stories, but only a couple of them. Most of the books I read were full-length novels, and I was kind of all over the place in terms of genre and enjoyment, so we've got a lot to cover here. Let's just jump into it. So the first book that I picked up was A Power Unbound by Freya Marski, and I so enjoyed this so much. This is the third and final book in the Last Binding series, I believe is what it's called, and this was my favorite in the series. I just thought it was absolutely phenomenal. If you don't know about this series, it is historical fantasy set in, I think, Victorian England. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the distinction between different eras of England very well, but I think it's Victorian or Victorian-ish, and they are all queer romances following a different couple, but they all follow like the same plot thread. So like we have our main couple in the first book, and then the couple in the second book. One of the characters is the sister of one of the guys in the first book, and then the third one are characters that we've met in previous books. Anyway, I loved this book. I give it a 10 out of 10. I thought it was a phenomenal ending to the series as a whole. It was my favorite couple dynamic between the three of them. I just have zero complaints about this book. It was an absolutely wonderful start to the month. Then I picked up The Keeper of Magical Things by Julie Leong, and this was adorable. I loved the cozy vibes. It was so sweet. I wasn't a huge fan of the romance in it. I thought that the couple was fine, but I think if this had been more romance focused or less romance focused, it would have been better. The amount of romance that we got in this book, I felt like was just slightly off. Like it wasn't a romance book, but the romance element was a little bit too strong for it to just be a subplot. I still liked the couple together, I just didn't really like the execution of that aspect of it. I still really, really enjoyed this book though. I do think Julie Leong's other book, no, this is The Keeper of Magical Things, The Teller of Small Fortunes, I do think that one was a little bit stronger of a book, but this one was still thoroughly enjoyable. After that, I picked up First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston, and I DNF'd this at 62%. So I got quite a chunk into this book, and I thought I was going to finish it, but then I put it down and realized that if I never picked it up again, I literally would not care. So I looked up a spoilery summary of the rest of the book, and I was like, yeah, no, I really don't care about any of that. So I just didn't pick it back up. It wasn't bad. I just don't like thrillers, I don't think. Like, it's. Thrillers and I have been on the offs for about a year or so now. Like, I just have not been getting along with any thrillers that I pick up. And this one was better than a lot. Like, a lot of thrillers that I've tried in the past year, I've thoroughly disliked. This one wasn't terrible. I just don't think the genre is very much for me. So of course after that I picked up another thriller, and that was The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, and this one surprised me because I actually enjoyed the reading experience. The book itself isn't anything spectacular, but like I said, I'm not a huge thriller person, but I really enjoyed reading it and like trying to figure out what was happening. I think it was the academic atmosphere. This was the book club pick for November and December for my book club, the Honeybee Society, where we read a dark academia book every 2 months, so you still have time to get in on this if you are interested. There is a Discord where we do all of our chatting about it, and I also do a spoilery vlog for all of the book club picks, so I will leave that linked down below as well. But yeah, like this wasn't the most spectacular book, but it kept me engaged throughout, and I have since gotten another one of Alex Michaelides' books on my physical TBR because I found it at a thrift store for like $5. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this one. I might as well pick that one up as well. So definitely a surprise here. Then I did my starting long fantasy series vlog, and the first series that I started for that was a very, very long one. That is the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and I decided to start with The Color of Magic. I know there are a lot of different entry points for this series because it's really just a bunch of mini-series all set in the same world, and people recommend starting in different places depending on what your interest is. I've decided that I'm just going to go in publication order. A lot of people think that The Color of Magic is not the best place to start because it is Terry Pratchett's first novel. Actually, I don't know if it's his first novel ever or just the first Discworld one, but people say that you can really see his writing style evolve over the course of the Discworld novels, and so The Color of Magic is not really a great example of the rest of the series, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought it was so much fun. I love Rincewind and Two Flower. I thought they were so funny. And Death, I'm excited to see more. I know that he is a super popular character, and I can see why. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to continuing on with this. There are, I think, 41 novels in the Discworld series and a bunch of short stories, so I'm gonna be in this one for quite a while, I think. Then I picked up The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the short story collection that comes first in the Witcher series. I thought it was the only short story collection. Turns out I was wrong. So I own this book, and I also own Blood of Elves, which is the first novel. I have to read Sword of Destiny between them, but that's fine because I'm very excited to read Sword of Destiny. I really enjoyed this. I didn't expect it to be very fairy tale esque. I thought it would be, I mean, it is still very high fantasy adventure, but it definitely has like a fairy tale spin on it. There are references to so many fairy tales in this book, and I thought they were very well done. The earlier stories I definitely enjoyed more. The ones we got later on in the book, not my favorites. I did not like the introduction of Yennefer as a character, but that's fine. She does just feel very female character written by a man. But I am excited for Sword of Destiny because I know that's where we meet Ciri. For context, I've never taken in any Witcher media before this book. I wanted to read it before I did anything else, so I'm very excited to watch the show, but I wanted to read the book first, and I also have to read Sword of Destiny because the first season adapts both collections of stories, but I've also never like played the video game or anything. Honestly, I don't think I will. I'm not good at video games that require skill, but I've always thought that what I knew of The Witcher sounded like I would really enjoy it, and I did, so I'm glad I finally took this leap and read this book. And the last book that I read for my long series vlog was Rosemary and Rue by Seanan McGuire. This is the first book in the October Daye series, which is urban fantasy with fae. Not my favorite, but I did have a fun time with this. I thought it was interesting. It's very early 2000s. It might have even come out in the 90s, actually. When were you published? Oh, 2009. No, I was correct. It was early 2000s. Although 2009 is not quite early 2000s. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. But yeah, this was fun. It wasn't my favorite. It was definitely the lowest of the three books that I read for the vlog, but I still had a good time with it. And I will continue on with the series, but if my enjoyment doesn't like get more and more with the series, that was a weird way for me to phrase that. If I don't like the later books more than I enjoyed this one, I will probably DNF it at some point, but I will give it 2 or 3 more books to really give the series a test. The next book I read was a highly anticipated release for me. I read it very shortly after it came out because I got a copy of it from the library. Actually, I think I might have read it, like started reading it the day it came out. But that is Break Wide the Sea by Sarah Holland. First of all, look at this cover. Tell me this is not the most stunning book you have ever seen. It is fantastic. I'm obsessed with this cover. I really hope the sequel has an equally beautiful one. But the actual content of the book I thoroughly enjoyed. It wasn't a full 10 out of 10, but it was very close. It was like there was nothing I could complain about, but I didn't have that spark, I don't think, which is a little bit sad, but I still had a fantastic time reading this. This is a high fantasy book following a girl who is cursed. She's got this heartbreak curse that came upon her. It's like this thing with her whole family, like if they experience heartbreak, they start turning into a monster. And she's been turning into a monster for like 6 years now. And she is the owner of this whaling company where they hunt magical whales because these whales, like blood and bones and blubber, they help the people in their like very cold, harsh environment survive. And she teams up with her fiance, whom she is starting to not trust, and this guy that she knew as a kid who's rumored to be half Finfolk, and the Finfolk are the people who curse these people for killing the whales. They go on this adventure together, and she wants to break her curse. And it was just a really good time, and it ended on a very sad cliffhanger. So I'm very upset that I have to wait a whole year for the second book in this duology to be published. At least I think it's just a duology. I actually don't know how long the series is going to be. I think it's just a duology. I hope so. But yeah, I have to wait quite a while because I read this book literally when it came out. But you know what? I still had a really good time with it. Then I picked up Even Cowgirls Get the Blues, and I DNF'd this 5% in. I was not having a good time. I thought the writing style was so weird, and I love a book with a weird writing style, but it just had some interesting ideas about what a child could or could not consent to. And that's all I'll leave it at because that's literally all I read. It kind of just put a sour taste in my mouth, this little introductory bit to our main character. So, yeah, I unfortunately did not vibe with this one. So I DNF'd it. I'm gonna put it in a little free library. Maybe it'll work for someone else. Then I picked up Tomb of Ancients by Madeleine Roux, and this was kind of the opposite of The Last Binding, where this is the third book in the series, but instead of it being my favorite, it is my least favorite. Honestly, I love the first book. House of Furies is phenomenal. I have zero critique on that book. I loved it so much. The second book was good. It wasn't as good, but I still had a fun time with it. And then this one, I just have no idea what was happening. There was just a lot of new world building and lore thrown in that I did not see coming, and I was so confused. I just I thought it was okay. Like I didn't hate this book. I liked seeing what the characters were doing. I just didn't really know why they were doing any of it. So yeah, a little bit disappointing in that regard. The next book I picked up was Tourist Season by Brynne Weaver, and I had a really great reading experience. While I was reading this, I was so into it. I had a great time. There were definitely some things I did not like, but then the more I'm thinking about it since I finished this book, the less I enjoy it. I really, really loved Butcher and Blackbird. That's a phenomenal book. I was not a big fan of Leather and Lark. I thought it was just very bland, and I have not read Scythe and Sparrow yet. So I'm like one for two for Brynne Weaver books before going into this, and like this one was okay. I just thought that the premise was better than the execution. The sex scenes were all very samey. Like there were three sex scenes that were essentially the exact same thing but in a different location. And then the fourth one, completely different out of nowhere, things happening with no warning, very strange and off-putting, and I've seen a lot of people say like, wow, that was very awkward and I did not like it. So yeah, the big reveal that happens at the end, I feel like not like the very final reveal that we get in the epilogue, but the big reveal between our two main characters, which this book, if you didn't know, is about two serial killers who fall in love. That's the kind of book that Brynne Weaver writes. But one of the characters has this like misconception about the other, and when they find out the truth, it happens right in the last chapter, and I feel like that was more of like not a midpoint, but like a end of act 2 propelling us into act 3 kind of reveal, but because it comes at the end of the book, we just don't get to see any of the fallout of that happening. I don't know, but I am intrigued about the epilogue and what's happening there. A character that I thought was a little bit shady throughout turned out to be very shady, so I will be reading the next book. It doesn't come out until June, so I've got a little bit of a wait, but that just seems to be a theme here, where I'm reading first books in series right when they come out, so I have to wait a while for the rest of it. Probably not the best planning on my part, but you know, it's fine. And then for good measure, I started another series, of course. I'm going to do better about that in the new year, but for now, we're starting a bunch of series and we're not going to feel guilty about it. But I picked up A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, and I feel like I impacted my reading experience of this It could have been a lot better, but I was just a little bit tapped out on historical fantasy. I've just read so much of it this month and in recent months, which it is my favorite fantasy subgenre. Well, it's tied with Portal Fantasy for my favorite fantasy subgenre. I love historical fantasy, but I've just been reading a lot of it lately, so I think I need to give it a bit of a break. But I still had a good time with this. Liva Bray is shaping up to be a favorite author of mine, so I'm always looking forward to reading more. I might read book 2 next month. Um, you will see this video tomorrow, actually. Um, but I will talk through that a little bit more there about whether or not I will read book 2 in December or not. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to book 2 because this one gave us some really interesting concepts with the fantasy elements, and I also really enjoyed the character work, so I'm eager to see more of them. Then I read Juice Like Wounds by Seanan McGuire. This is a short story set in the world of the Wayward Children series, which I absolutely adore. This is just kind of like filling in the gaps of a bit in her fourth book in that series, in An Absent Dream. We like learn about something happening, but it doesn't really fit into the way that story is told. So this short story is just what happened there, and I had a good time. Seanan McGuire and I are very hit and miss, but the Wayward Children series has not disappointed me yet. I absolutely love it. And that put me in the mood to read more short stories, but I couldn't fit in a ton, so I just read one more, and that was St. Lucy's Home for Girls Raised by Wolves. This was actually a reread. It is my favorite short story of all time, and it did not disappoint. I just really love the atmosphere of this, and I really need to read more of Karen Russell's writing. I have not, but I will one day, hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll try and make that a priority in 2026 is to read more from authors that I really loved, but then just never read from again. And the final book that I have to talk to you about is one that I technically have not finished yet. So I'm filming this video at 9:30 a.m. on the 29th, so I still have time to read in the month, but this video is just going up tomorrow, so I have to film it now. I am currently reading, what is it called? Every Gift a Curse, the third and final book in the, what is that first book called? Hold on, I have it on my shelf. All Our Hidden Gifts. I don't know why this series specifically, I have such a problem with like remembering the names of the books. I think they might just be too similar with the word like gift or whatever in it in all of them. Anyway, I was feeling a little bit guilty about starting so many series, so I'm like, what's something I can finish? And this was available on Libby right away. So I am reading it. I am about 25% in at the moment. I will definitely finish it by the end of tomorrow though. It's not a hard read. This is a series that is set in Ireland, which is fun. I feel like I don't read a lot of books set in Ireland, and it deals with these high school, early college age kids who end up developing magic powers, and there's this like religious cult going on. There's this mysterious magical entity. It's a whole lot of fun. I can't really say too much without spoiling the earlier books, and also I'm not too far into this third one, but I'm very excited to finish out this series. It's one that I have been enjoying thoroughly. So those are all of the books that I read in November, or in the case of that last one, am currently reading, but like I said, I will definitely get it finished by the end of the month. I genuinely did not expect to read through so many books. I feel like in the middle there, I started panicking because I still had so many books left on my official TBR to get to, which if I don't finish a TBR, there aren't any consequences, but I still was stressing a little bit. But then I kind of just powered through a bunch, and not even powered through, because that makes it seem like I was just kind of rushing and not enjoying them. But I was enjoying what I was reading, so yeah, I kind of just had a moment there where I was getting through books really fast. Um, December is going to be a crazy one, and I'm a little bit scared, but you know what? We will burn that bridge when we get to it. For now, though, I have reached the end of this video. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content. That way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.